at the Carolina Panthers this week, right? He's doing a Thanksgiving show. Well, they probably got, let's see, the NFL Network. They have, what do they have on Thanksgiving Day? They have a morning show on Thanksgiving Day? Do you have what's the name of that show? Good Morning Football? Is that the name of it? What's the name of the show? What's your name of your morning show?
Good Morning Football.
Is that tomorrow
morning
morning?
show on television? What are you talking about?
Easy now. Easy now. Come on now.
I come in hot when you can't get the name of the show right. It's a great show, Mike. You'd love it.
Come on now. Listen, I know it's on in the morning. I just can't remember the name of the show in the morning. Listen, I watch. You know what I watch in the morning?
What?
CNBC. I'm being honest. I do. That's what I watch. But that's because I care about that stuff. That's why. But
come on, that sounds good. You'd like it.
No, listen. I've seen it a couple times. Where do you do that show in Manhattan?
Yeah, we always do it in Manhattan, but this is we're doing it in Mount Laurel at NFL Film.
I've been there many times. Steve Sable and I did many projects together.
Is that right?
Oh, yes, going back many, many years. They wanted me to do a show full time for Mount Laurel. I said no. I said I cannot get down there and do that. In the old days, they offered me to do a couple of shows for them down there. Including a daily show. I was like, I cannot get down there.
The Long Island to Mount Laurel?
No. Especially when you're doing this still. I wasn't giving this up. So, I was going to do this around that. I was going to do it around my show. So I was still going to do this. So that was not going to be easy to do. So getting to Mount Laurel would not have been there. But Steve Sable, who was a guy that I knew for a million years and did an incredible job with his father of growing the NFL product with what they did. He did a great job with that. He absolutely did.
It's incredible. Yes. And we're on 7 to 10, but we're doing it from there. And it's quite literally, if you've never been down there, it is like a Smithsonian of football. It's
the library of football. It really is. And that's what they built. And they did a great job with that stuff. They got incredible video down there, incredible stuff. So what are you doing down there versus being why are you there instead of being in Manhattan tomorrow?
The CBS show, the Boomer and Phil and all those guys are taking our studio on 57th and 11th. So they shipped us down to South Jersey, and here we are in the wilderness. Gotcha.
So is your regular crew on tomorrow morning?
Yeah, our regular crew.
And what do you got planned for Thanksgiving?
And then I will...
No, what do you have planned for the show? What's the theme on Thanksgiving morning?
We'll be previewing all 3 games,
right.
And we'll go deep on it, and we'll see if the Cowboys season is over or not.
It's probably over, win or lose, but I would say tomorrow they'll... listen, I can never count. See, here's the one problem. You can never count on the Chargers to play well. But if the Chargers play to their potential tomorrow, or even just don't completely screw it up, they will win the game because the other team is a mess right now. Is a complete mess.
My co-host on the show is a guy named Kyle Brandt. He calls it the witching hour. Always around like 6 o'clock Eastern. The Chargers are up 7 with 5 minutes to go, and you go to their game, and they somehow find a way to blow it.
Well, he needs a new expression because the witching hour is one I created about 20 years ago.
Give me your witching hour. I'm sorry. What's the witching hour?
It's that's 3. That is 2:45 till 4:15 on any football Sunday. That's the witching hour. Okay,
right,
and that was created by me about 25 years ago. So
we'll call it the Phillip Rivers hour.
That's better.
That's what we'll call it. And they're always up a couple points, and then they find a way to get in these weird situations.
Yes, they do. Unless you get a quarterback throwing 5 picks in the first half. Okay.
Unbelievable.
And that guy who we'll never see again. Okay. And really, and I like Sean, but there are lunkhead moves, and I'm not a Taylor fan, never have been, but there are lunkhead moves, and there are moves that you just, in front of your team, they'll giggle at you. That was one of those moves where you just went for a kid who said, sorry, I'm not ready for this, and just completely evaporated in front of everybody's eyes.
It was one of the most epic, horrendous performances of all time.
Yeah, it was.
And the crazy thing is that, Sunday after the game, Monday, Sean didn't announce that, okay, Tyrod's going back. They waited till Wednesday to announce that this is our guy.
Well, I think he was probably just in shock still. He probably just, he didn't want to make it even worse on himself. He was probably still in shock from what had happened. He probably said, how did I miss this one so badly? How did I think he was ready? And, hey, you never know if they're ready. So, the first time you throw him in, you gotta see what happens. So he obviously wasn't ready, but back to the Chargers and the Cowboys, I think the game's pretty even, but I think if they both the way things are going right now, the Chargers have the edge. There's no question. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. First game's not going to be easy. I think everyone seems to be acting like the Vikings are going to just roll over the Lions.
Right?
I don't think so. I think that'll be a very close game tomorrow.
I have done more Lions games for Fox over the last 2 years than I think anyone possibly could do, and I'll tell you, every single time Stafford finds a way.
Yep.
And they've beaten the Vikings 3 straight times.
Yep.
They haven't lost in November in 3 years. And I got to think that this Lions team at home, I give them the edge over the Vikings.
I think it's going to be very close, very, very close. And I think quarterback could be your story. And then the Giants, I would have liked what I saw from the Giants last week, although the offensive line now is a disaster again this week. Now without 2 guys again, without Pugh and Fluka. So I think that's a little scary. But, another team you can't count on is Washington. You just don't know how they're going to play.
Yeah,
week to week, you just don't know how they're going to play.
They've got 14 guys on the injured reserve list themselves. So this is 2 mash units walking in. This is Roger Lewis Jr. versus Ryan Grant and Maurice Harris. This is not what we expected.
See, I don't know what Washington... See, I can't figure Washington out. I don't even know what Washington wants to do with their quarterback. I can't even figure out what their plan is. They're a hard team to get a handle on. They really are.
Well, they should have given him a contract after the Seattle game. They should have given a contract after that Saints game last week. The defense is what let them down. Their defense is historically bad in the fourth quarter. I wouldn't be shocked if the Giants came in there and won that game.
Either would I, except the offensive line is very beat up. But if the Giants could run the ball a little bit, I think they have a good chance to win the game. I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if either team wins any of the 3 games tomorrow. That's how I feel about the 3 games. Now, your game, you got Carolina, which gets Olsen back against the Jets, and I'm sure you've heard by now that Rivas has joined Kansas City for next week, which will make game Kansas City at Jets fun. So that's an interesting reemergence. So Rivas to the Chiefs.
The Bob Sutton connection there. He obviously played for him for 6 seasons when he was with the Jets, but with Rivas, his contract is interesting. So the Jets paying him $6 million this year, and every game if there's an offset, so the Chiefs have to just pay the Jets, if he plays. So essentially, he's playing for free for the Chiefs, and it's basically an audition for the rest of the season, saying, "Hey, this is what I can do. Someone give me a big deal next year." But I know that teams called him earlier this season, and he was like, "No, I'm good. I'm making $6 million from the Jets. If you can't come close, I'm good." But now, week 12, with a team that's going to the playoffs with the Chiefs, he says, "Why not? I might as well try and show teams that I can make big money next year."
Yep, a lot of lopsided games this week. Not a lot of good games Sunday. The one good game is Saints-Rams. You've been on the Ram bandwagon. Both of us were wrong last week. We both liked the Rams in Minnesota. They did terribly in the second half, and they got run over. Now they got to play the Saints. This is a big game for the Rams this week. They can't lose 2 in a row here. This is a big game for them.
It's a big game for both teams.
But the Saints can afford to lose one. When you win 8 in a row in the league, you can't expect to keep winning.
No.
So you can lose one, but the Rams can't lose back to back here. They need to win this game.
No, they do, especially when you look at the playoff picture and that home field advantage. If you win this game, suddenly you've got the edge on the Saints if it comes down to that, and there's that second seed. I think the Rams turn it around. I think the Rams do win this game. The Saints, everyone's excited, obviously. They've won 8 straight games. No one's going to take away, and that comeback against the Redskins was just stuff that's magical. That doesn't happen every season. That said, that was in New Orleans. That was against a bad Redskins team that was all beat up. I'm curious to see what the Saints do when they travel. It was one thing to beat the Bills in Buffalo. We've seen what the Bills are.
And they historically don't travel great, but they're a little different this year because they run the ball better. So they historically don't travel great. But I agree with you. It'll be an interesting game. Hard to figure, but interesting game. Go either way. So I'll sit back and see what we get out of that game because the Eagles are gone in the NFC, and I told you they were going to romp on the Cowboys in that game. And the Cowboys are not the same team. You take Sean Lee out of that defense, and it just completely falls apart. It just does. And he's not there again. They have big problems now, really, on both sides of the ball. And what the Eagles did to them after having really the most peculiar first half, because, to have 5 straight 3-and-outs the way they did and then come out in the second half and just destroy them was unbelievable.
They were down 9-7 at halftime.
Yeah, and they just
won
destroyed them.
37-9.
Yeah, they just destroyed them in the second half.
It was a bizarre game, and a lot of people on the East Coast probably shut it off in the third quarter, but they just piled it on. They kept on bringing it, and that's 2 straight games now that Jerry's Cowboys go into halftime feeling pretty good about themselves and come out being lopsided loss, getting blown out. I don't know what that is, why this team can't finish. But tomorrow, Phillip Rivers is an NFL quarterback.
Good player.
And Keenan Allen is a really good receiver. And Bosa and Ingram will get after
Bosa is the
Dak.
second best I think the second best pass rusher in the league right now.
Who's your top?
Miller's still the best, I think. I think on his day he's still the best, but I think Bosa's now second. As far as just pure straight line to the quarterback, I think he's the second best guy. I don't think he's the second best player or anything like that, but I think he's a great classic pass rusher right now.
There's a kid on the Vikings. Tomorrow the whole country is going to see him. This number 97, Everson Griffin.
Very good player, yes.
Is a beast, and he might be in the conversation now, too.
And so is Clowney. I mean, Clowney's in that conference.
Clowney's having a nice season.
Yeah, and Clowney plays both ways, plays the run, too. So, he's a good player. He's and that's without Merciless, who's unblockable sometimes. So, and that's without him. So, but you're right, but Bosa gets to the quarterback. He really does. He's athletic. He's quick. He gets to the quarterback.
The Chargers have been on primetime one time this season, and it was the second Monday night game against the Broncos, late night on Monday night, 10:30 Eastern. No one saw it week one. No one has seen the Chargers on a national level. So at the very least, you're gonna see Bosa, you're gonna see Ingram, you're gonna see Rivers, who I think are three great stars in this league.
And Oakland, you got some teams this year really disappointing. Cowboys,
but they all could still make the playoffs.
Oakland still. I mean, with what they didn't even show up last week.
Mike, they don't have an interception this season.
I mean, that's unbelievable. And I know they got rid of Ken Norton Jr., but it's not his fault. I mean, they're awful. I mean, their effort's bad. I mean, that game was so easy. It was ridiculous for the Patriots.
We put Matt Stafford under this microscope. We put Kirk Cousins. He doesn't win the big one. Derek Carr is the second highest paid quarterback in the league. What is Derek Carr?
And listen, overrated is what he was. I mean, he had one good year, so I agree with you. Now, he's a talented kid, but this year, that team, everything has gone wrong. That team just took a year, and everything they did last year, they didn't consolidate one bit of it. I like what I think is going to be fun. You're seeing you're in the right place for Carolina, because Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta, and I think Atlanta's win the other night, really, and with their ends starting to really make a difference, I think Atlanta is going to be fun to watch the rest of the way. I expected bigger things this year, I admit it. I thought they would have a bigger season, but they still can have a tremendous finish and go into the playoffs with a lot of momentum. They play the Saints twice and Carolina in their last 4 games, and they get a win this week against the Bucs. That's going to be a great division. You can say all three will get in, but that's still difficult. They're going to have some round robin the last 5 or 6 weeks, the Atlanta and New Orleans and Carolina.
Yeah, and if you say all three get in, that means that the Seahawks might not get in.
Seahawks might not get in. Really, they got a lot of – once they lost – Chancellor on top of losing Sherman, that's a lot to lose.
And they lost the rookie Griffin, who was playing well, who was the third corner. So their 2 corners in Seattle right now are Byron Maxwell, who was kicked to the curb by Adam Gase, didn't want him in the locker room, and then the other guy's Jeremy Lane, who they quite literally traded to Houston, and he failed a physical, got on the plane, went to Houston, failed the physical, and came back with his tail between his legs. And they're like, you're our number 1 corner now. So Seahawks are real banged up, but you're talking about that NFC South. How great is the schedule going to be those final 4
Unbelievable.
weeks?
Really, it's going to be so much fun. And for Atlanta, it's perfect. Make them earn it. Make them start their playoff push early and just play like every game's a playoff game from week 13 right through the end of the season. Every week's a playoff game, and just go into the playoffs that way.
They were last year. They were 4-3 last year and went on and won every game the rest of the way except for the last one. But their whole deal is interesting because the next 3 weeks the Falcons are at home. And they just opened that new stadium, and there's some questions whether that's a home field advantage or not. Both, I believe, the Dolphins and the Bills beat them in their building.
Yes, and from 17-0 they lost to the Dolphins. They were up 17-0.
Think about that now, seeing what the Dolphins are.
The Dolphins are awful.
Awful team.
Awful. And you got some lopsided games this week. I mean, Chicago in Philly, Dolphins in New England. You have the Bills messed up in Kansas City where they need a big win in the worst way.
Boy. Both teams.
Yeah. Well, I don't trust the Bills, so I think this is the week you expect the Chiefs to really lay it on them. Falcons, same thing with the Bucks. I mean, and then you have the Packers who can't score and the Steelers. A lot of lopsided. You can have a lot of lopsided games on the weekend.
Let me ask you one because this is an interesting one, and I always trust your guidance on these things. Alex Smith, you give him one more week. All right, say he stinks it up again. Do you consider going to the rookie you drafted 10th overall and trade it up again?
I would not, because I don't think he can learn Andy's offense in 1 year. I don't think he can do it. If he didn't go to him in that game when they needed someone to throw the ball through the wind, Alex Smith did not win that game because he did not have enough faith that his ball wouldn't float in the end zone, and he preserved the field goal. He even ran it on third down, which made no sense. Made no sense. He couldn't score, and he ran it on third down rather than throw it to his tight end, who the Giants never stop, because he thought the ball would float on him, because every ball floated on him the entire second half, and he did not have enough guts to throw the ball, considering the fact he came in with one interception. Lucky he didn't throw 5 that day, So I think it's going to be interesting when he goes back there if they get another windy day. Now, if they don't get a windy day against the Jets, they'll be fine. But if they get another windy day, you might see Mahomes because he can't throw the ball in that wind.
They played the Steelers in a playoff game at home last year. I was there. I covered the game for Fox, and I'm at the game, and it's windy as heck, and it's nasty out. Alex Smith might not have thrown the ball more than 5 yards the entire game, and they left a lot of yards on the field. The Steelers did not look good. It was a special teams win, but the Steelers won the playoff game. So there's no reason to me that lets me believe that Alex Smith is suddenly a different thrower in these cold weather games.
He can't. Well, he can't. It's the wind. He can't. His ball can't. And people don't realize how well Eli Manning threw the ball at times in that game. I mean, because he got the ball at least where he was trying to get it. Alex Smith couldn't get the ball anywhere near, and he had open receivers. He had Kelsey wide open and missed him by 20 yards. I mean, so he should have thrown a touchdown pass on that last drive. He just didn't have the guts to throw it. I mean, he really didn't.
I love Andy, and I like their new coordinator, Matt Nagy, but when you've got Travis Kelce throwing a passing crunch...
That made no sense. Listen, neither one of those option passes made any sense. Eli was 5 for 5 when he threw the option pass. I mean, come on, that's overthinking it. It's just, listen, I'm not an option pass guy. I don't like the option pass. I never have. I'd rather have the quarterback throw it. That's always been my... If you want to throw it back to the quarterback, let him throw it. That's okay. But I never like these guys throwing the ball. They don't throw it well enough. And Kelsey actually threw the ball better than Smith did.
He threw it further.
Yeah, he did. He actually got it down there through the wind better than Smith did, but he still got it picked off. So, all right, let me give you an upset for this week. And you can watch him tomorrow morning. What time are you on, 7 or 6?
7 to 10 a.m.
I got to turn that on tomorrow morning before I go to church. I got to turn that on tomorrow. So
put it on before church, and I'll tell you, you're not going to hate it. That's our biggest asset.
No, I actually have watched it a couple times. I'm teasing you.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you every guy's name.
That's fine.
I don't think. But I know you have 4 people and you have 1 girl. I know that.
Yep.
I don't know the girl's name. What's the girl's name?
Kay Adams.
Kay Adams. I'm not familiar with her. Where's she from?
She was in Boston doing Patriot stuff for a while.
All right. And the guy who sits on the left, what's his name?
Kyle Brandt.
Kyle Brandt. What's his background?
He used to be a producer at the Jim Rome Show.
Oh, did he really?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay. So he's a radio producer.
He was like the Brian Monzo if we had him across from me at the table.
Okay. So that's where he came from.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So
then we got Burleson.
Oh, I know Burleson. He's on the NFL Today also. I mean, I'm familiar with him, obviously. So I know that. So and I know you, although you do some goofy stuff on that show sometimes.
I know. I apologize. Mike, we need you to be managing the Yankees next year.
Listen, I don't.
Come on.
Not enough travel. Too much travel. Too much travel. Way too much travel. All right, wait a second. I need an upset. Let me see. Give me a game that you like and upset.
I like the Bills going into Kansas City.
Oh, come on now. Wait, if you get this one right, I'll come sit in that show for a day. How about that?
The ultimate honor.
I would not. The Bills in Kansas City?
I like the Bills in Kansas City, and I like the Cardinals home against the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are being awesome, but...
Now, you're talking about the Bills win or cover?
I'm telling you the Bills are going to win the game.
Win the game outright?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't... And what was the other one?
I think the Jaguars. I think Blaine Gabbert gets revenge. The Cardinals beat the Jaguars.
I could see that. I mean, that wouldn't even surprise me.
That's a long trip and a team that's pretty proud of themselves.
That wouldn't surprise me. That one I could agree with absolutely. But I don't see the Bills. That one would really surprise me. I really would. Well, listen. Happy Thanksgiving. Good luck this week. We'll see you. Thank you very much.
Have a great holiday, Mike. Thank you.
Peter Schrager, who you'll see tomorrow morning on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network, and Sunday you see him on Fox. He'll be on the sideline for Carolina and the Jets. Picking Buffalo to win in Kansas City, I don't see that. Off their craziness, and they've been outscored like 100-30, and the Chiefs need the game, and their defense has been absolutely destroyed the last 3 weeks. I cannot see Kansas City losing that game. I cannot. Talking about picks, we'll take a break. We'll come back. And, we'll save the picks for 6:05, so we'll come back in a minute. But then we'll get to the picks, I promise you, at 6:05.